Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe. I'm a sales and marketing coach and strategist for health coaches, life coaches, and wellness professionals who want to become a leader in their field by building their online community, rocking their sales process, and finally feeling confident about how they promote themselves and their marketing. On this show, we talk about tips to grow your business, save yourself time, and finally be able to create a sustainable, profitable business. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody. I'm here with Valery today, and we are talking about podcasting. We're talking about her lifestyle as an entrepreneur, as many of you guys probably will find what she does pretty interesting. And we're talking about what you need to know if you're a coach and you're wanting to start doing things like podcasting, doing things like outsourcing. So Valery, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell our audience about you?
Yes, thank you for having me, first of all. And my name is Valery and I'm podcast manager. And I started this business 9 months ago when I left the Netherlands to go on a trip around the world, because it was always my dream to live abroad and work online and travel the world. That's how it started actually. And I started as social media manager, and after I did the course also, and after a couple of months I thought, no, this is not what I want. I'm not happy. I have a hard time with catching up my own Instagram account. Let's say I need to do it for someone else. And then I met a girl along the way, and she was podcast manager, and I was like, oh my god, it's so cool. And I had no idea that there's something exists like podcast manager. If you think about it, it's quite normal, but I don't know. On that moment, I was like, "Oh my god, does it exist?"
Nice. What does that look like for you? So when you say podcast manager, tell us what that entails.
Most of my clients are coaches, and they have already a podcast, or they want to start a podcast. So if they already have a podcast, then I help them with the editing, writing the show notes, create the audiograms, and upload everything. And if they want to start a podcast, I help them from like the idea of starting till like your first episode. So what you can include in your intro, in your outro. I help you with setting up your hosting platform, your Trello workflow board, so that you can see how far we are. So that's really cool.
Very cool. Yeah. So when it comes to having a podcast, I think a lot of the listeners on this show, they're health coaches, they're life coaches, maybe they're mindset coaches, things of that nature, or service providers online. And they want to start a podcast, but the thought is overwhelming. Or they'll think to start a podcast, they have to have like multi-thousands of dollars of equipment, and they have to have the perfect, graphics and all of that. And so I started a podcast, I think back in 2017 at this point. And it was super inconsistent, and it was totally different topics. But I started it, and then it got more consistent and more clear and more branded and all of that as time went on. But I think a lot of people are afraid to start. So what are some of the things you need to be clear on when you're thinking about starting a podcast?
I think it's good to have a clear goal why you want to start, first of all, because I think that will keep you going, so that you know for who you want to start and what's your goal, what's your purpose with it. And I think it's also good that you know who you're talking to. So that you have already, like same as with social media, that you have your content pillars, that you have topics where you want to talk about. So I always say when I do, hello?
You're here, yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh. When I do launches for my clients, I always say, okay, write like 20 topics down where you want to talk about. And then, then you have like enough content, and that don't burn you out in a long way, yeah, because it's a little bit stressful that people like, oh, I don't know where to talk about, or do I need to do a solo interview or an solo episode or an interview? So yeah.
Nice. So you want to have a balance maybe between solo episodes, interviews, or you want to clearly decide which one is more your show. And then also 20 topics to get ideas about different titles and different people maybe you could interview, right?
Yeah, definitely. And also for, like, who's your target audience?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
for sure.
I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
is everything. Yeah, every like episode what you record, is that relatable for your audience?
And give an example of a niche, because for example, some people might say, well, my show's going to be for women, so isn't that enough? But really, that's kind of broad, right?
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, and now I'm working with a mindset coach. So I'm doing her editing. So yeah, that's quite niche down. Yeah, a little bit. She talks with like other mindset coaches, or she did just an episode about different personas. So that was quite interesting. That how that everyone has different personas, and how you can find them and how you can deal with them. So that was really cool. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and like you said, your niche is coaches, right? You work primarily with coaches on podcasts.
Yeah.
So that's a little more specific than saying every entrepreneur, every online entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You have things that kind of decorate your niche, meaning you live that nomad lifestyle, right? So a lot of people will want that or relate to that or admire that about you. Mm-hmm. So maybe coaches who want to have more freedom, want to be able to travel, things like that. So it's interesting because I think what a lot of people do when they're thinking about their niche or thinking about even starting a podcast is they get afraid to pick something specific because they're like, well, but I can help everybody and this topic will really be cool for a lot of people. But the truth is, if you in the sea of podcasts, right, you kind of gotta pick something.
Yeah, it's the same if you like choose to do social media or every kind of coach. You need to like niche down, because otherwise you're talking to nobody, because nobody can relate with what you're doing. And it's the same for podcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. So that said, what are some of the other things you need to either maybe equipment wise or things that, like when you say show notes, like what are some best practices when it comes to starting your podcast?
First of all, what I always say, buy a microphone. And you don't need to have like the most expensive microphone that you don't even know how to get it on. But you have microphones for like 60 US, I think, something 60, 70, and that's good enough. And I always say buy a pop-up filter, so the filter on your microphone as well, and a headset. That's like the main things what you need to have, and your content, of course, because otherwise you don't have nothing to talk about.
Totally. Okay. And what are some big no-nos you see coaches doing or people doing in general when it comes to podcasting?
Sorry, what was your question?
What are some like mistakes or no-nos, like things that common pitfalls that you see other coaches falling into when it comes to their podcast?
I think not being consistent. That's a big thing, because it's not, for some of them, it's not their main focus. So they want to, if they're starting and then like doing 3 episodes because you're quite excited to start, and then on one point you burn out because it's not your main thing. So I think being consistent is like a thing where a lot of coaches have problems. I don't want to say problems, but yeah, problems. So I always say like do batch recording at least, that you always have something to come out when you need to publish an episode.
Yeah, have some batched content. that you
Yeah,
can do at once.
definitely. Yeah, because you don't have always the time, or you don't feel like motivated enough to record an episode, and you need to, if you can't outsource it, then you need to edit it, and yeah,
Yeah.
there comes a lot, a lot of things.
Yeah, no, that's very good advice because, like I said, in the beginning of mine, I did start strong and then kind of fell off for a little while because it wasn't my top priority. But I've started to get down a system, I would say over the last year and a half, where now it's every week, it's every Friday. We have a clear, like, okay, show notes. Here's who's responsible. Here's what we're doing. Here's what I went over, and then the guests happen naturally with my Facebook Lives and all that. So it works out. Obviously, there's always things that we'll be able to do better and improve the sound quality,
Yeah.
but at least it's very consistent now.
Yeah, I think the most important is that you're being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So how does somebody make time to do this, right? Like they could get your support, or what kind of things can they do to make this more streamlined and more able to fit in their schedule?
I would say pick a day, like, and then record like 2 or 3 episodes, and then you are ready to go. So I would say like pick a date. Like one of my clients is from the Netherlands, and she she's going to a recording studio. She said, otherwise I don't do it. So she picks one day and then she records like 7 or 8 episodes, and then she's like, okay, done. Here you have fun with it. And it's even easier for me because then I can do it whenever I want and I don't need to wait for her. So yeah, that's quite easy for me as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you've pointed out, or a theme, is if we as entrepreneurs, as CEOs, wait until we feel like recording, then the podcast is going to be all over the place. You're going to have a lot,
Yeah.
a little. So I think the key is get yourself in that zone where you're ready to bust out these interviews. Or
Yeah,
episodes.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you get yourself, Valery, personally on an entrepreneur level, because you work with many different clients, and I'm sure every single day, sometimes you're tired or sometimes you don't feel like it.
Today I'm tired.
Yeah. How do you get yourself motivated to feel like working with your clients or feel like doing it?
For me, yeah, I think it's different because my lifestyle is pretty cool. At the moment I'm in Vietnam, and that always keeps me still going, because if I don't work, then I need to go home, back to my 9 to 5, and I love this lifestyle. So today I'm a little bit tired, and I was looking outside and I was walking around in Vietnam, and I'm like, oh, I'm so happy. So that are the things that keeps me going. Yeah. Even if I don't feel for it, but yeah, that's a big plus, definitely.
Right, having things to look forward to and being able to set your schedule and be able to work through things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about, just because I know a lot of coaches listening are going to be like, what? How is she in Vietnam, and how is she traveling? How is she doing all these things? What would you say? How did you decide that you wanted to do that, and how did you get started and just taking a leap and traveling the world and working for yourself?
Yeah, I lived in South America for 2 years, and I was working there like in your normal 9 to 5. And then I went back and I was traveling through Africa for a couple of months. And then I saw people working online, and I was like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. So I did a lot of courses back home. And then, I took the leap. I just quit my job, book a flight, and now I'm here. Yeah.
Wow, so cool. What were you doing before you quit your job?
I did hospitality, and I did human resource management. I studied human resource management, so that was like the main thing. And every time in between, I did hospitality because it was quite easy to get a job.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, so what's on your agenda next? Like, where do you see yourself taking things with your career, with your traveling?
Now I want to level up more the sound engineering part. I bought a really cool sound engineering software. It's Isotope. I don't know if you know it. Yeah, and I want to level up more the sound quality. So really want to focus on sound. Better give my clients a better quality of the sound of their podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Love
that's
it.
what I want to focus now. And of course, growing your business is always always good. But for now, I'm happy how it goes now.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to show notes, this is something that I'm
Yeah.
curious about. What do you recommend for the best SEO or the best results when it comes to creating show notes for your podcast?
Yeah, the thing is, you need to do like keyword research, and then create your show notes around your. And I don't want to say around, but a little bit around your keywords as well. So put as many as possible keywords what you have. And I use a website. I don't know if I can say it, but I use a website where you can look for for keywords as well. So
Cool.
that's quite easy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are you not allowed to say it? No, it's okay.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't
Private. Okay.
Key search.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of websites. Like I know about. I've heard of BuzzSumo and Google. There's something with Google. So yeah, I think it's really important to, if you, like for me, example would be I use Business Coach for Health Coach a lot in my blogs and things like that, because that's what I want to be searchable for. So picking like a phrase or a keyword that you want to be searchable for is really important.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. And then what about, like, do you do bullet points? Do you write out, do you recommend transcribing the show notes? Like, what do we do?
For my clients, I do like the small phrases, or not phrases, but parts, and like bullet points, or what we cover in the episodes. Yeah.
Like a summary or a
Summary. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Summary and what we cover in the episode.
Cool. Yeah. And then what about for when it comes to having guests and collaborating and promoting your podcast? What are some ways you recommend for getting it out there?
I would say like you have a lot of Facebook groups where you can find guests for your show, but also like reach out to people on Instagram. That's what I'm doing for another client as well. And Instagram is really cool and really easy to use because you are already on Instagram. So you can find your clients there and go on their show, and that will also grow your show.
Yeah. Right. And then when you have a podcast, like with a guest, let's say, what do you do to kind of like make the most out of it when it comes out? How do you promote when it comes out?
We always doing like the snippet before we upload the episode, so that people already have like the catch. Okay, this is the episode what's coming, and then we uploaded an audiogram, like a longer one. So a short snippet and a longer audiogram. That's how we do it.
Okay, so like a short teaser.
Yeah, a teaser.
Day before it comes out, right?
Yeah.
And then day of, longer audiogram. And when you see audiogram, what does that mean? Is that like what is that?
It's like an I don't want to say picture, but picture with your with the audio over the picture, so that you can listen to the audio. And I would always say, like, not everyone wants it, but do with text also, because not everyone can listen always. So always do like with subtitles.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because a lot of people listen without sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Cool. And then what about when it comes to launching a podcast? Have you ever had it where, you and a client are building up a big excitement about launching a podcast? And what are some ways somebody could create some excitement or hype about doing that?
Yeah, I work with 6 weeks. So we have 6 weeks. And then in the third week, then she always needs to record the trailer episode already, and then like talk about it, promote about it, like make people excited, ask what people want to hear in your podcast. So things like that actually. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Ask for
Make them a part of the, like what you're from your new podcast.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, do any of our live listeners have any questions about podcasting, about growing your podcast? No. Tell us a little bit about when it comes to you and being somebody who is a service provider. How have you gotten, because I'm sure that this will interest our audience, how have you connected with your current clients? How did you go about starting your own? You didn't, this is still, you're still growing this, you're still going. And you went from working completely different, right, in a different field and getting some training and courses and education, and then going for your own business, which is super inspiring. And a lot of people want to do that, but maybe they're scared or they don't know where to start or they don't know how to go find people, right? So how did you find your first clients? How did you start that whole process?
I think I started on Instagram, and of course I did first social media, so I was connected with a lot of coaches as well, and that like now it turned out really well. But yeah, I started with Instagram, and like for podcast management, it's quite easy. Or not, I don't want to say easy, but it's different if you're doing social media manager, because a lot of people are doing it. And with podcast management, there are not that many podcast managers, and I think there are more podcasters than podcast managers. So when I like started, I was always in the Facebook groups and like reaching out to people. And when my Instagram still don't have that many followers, but like all my current clients I met on Instagram.
Wow. Just from searching hashtags or?
Yeah, like connecting with people. And then I don't know, like my last client, and I'm launching her podcast next month. She like added me on Instagram and we start DMing with each other and voice memos, and then we went on a call. Yeah, I don't even know how it went, but it went quite, I don't want to say easy, but yeah.
I love that. I love Instagram. I would also agree that that's one of the most popular ways that I connect with people. And, I found you, I think we found each other through Instagram DMs, and I was like, this seems like a cool podcast guest. About podcasting.
It's so weird. Like a couple of days ago, I was looking at my first Instagram post, and I never thought that I would build my business on Instagram. That's so weird. That's so powerful.
Yeah, and you can do it from Vietnam, like where
everywhere.
Very cool. So I think that being able to, just like you, be brave, connect with people, be authentic, and you have a very positive, bright attitude, and that comes through on Instagram because it's such a platform where you can show your personality. You know what I mean?
True.
So
I think that's also really important if it comes on Instagram, that people can relate with my life, not relate, but that they see, oh, she has such a cool lifestyle. And I don't know, I think that's something, it connects, or that's what I feel. Always people DM me, I'm like, oh my God, I love your lifestyle. I'm like, oh yeah.
Right, it's cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome. Well, Valery, what advice, is there any final words of advice or wisdom you would give to somebody who's either trying to find their clients right now or feeling overwhelmed maybe as a newer business owner that you'd want to share with them?
I would say start, I don't want to say slowly, but start from the beginning and have a good mindset, because that's something what I shifted like 3 months ago, and so many good things happened from that point. So I would say start connecting with people and like have a clear goal on who your target audience is, like who's your ideal client, and don't do things which you don't like. because that's what I did in the beginning. I was working with people I don't like, and then I was like, that burns me out. And then I decided, no, I don't want. I only want to work with clients who I like that I can relate with them, and that worked out really well. So I would say, yeah, just start, and like connect with people. That's I think most important.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And where
you're welcome.
Everybody find you?
On Instagram. I'm Valery _ virtual services. I need to think.
Okay. So that's VALERY _ virtual services. All
yes.
One. Yes. Okay. Awesome. So we'll put that in the show notes, and I'm going to type it in our show notes as well.
And on my website.
Yes. Okay. What's your website?
Valery Colli, COLLE.com.
Oops. ValeryColli.com.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening today. And if you have any other questions for Valery, I'm sure she'd be open to connecting with you guys on Instagram. Yes. And what's in the cards for you today? What are you up to? I don't know what time it is for you. It's probably nighttime. Is it?
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to bed.
It's 9 a.m. over here. So, yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's 9:30 evening.
All right. Well, good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And if you liked it and want to reserve your very own free sales audit, go to haileyrowe.com/strategy-call to book your very own free sales audit. On the call, we'll talk more about the common concerns you get from your ideal clients, how to overcome those concerns, how to coach through objections, how to change your mindset around sales, and improve your sales process so you can be closing and converting more clients. I can't wait to connect with you, and go to haileyrowe.com/strategy-call to take the first step. Thanks so much. Have a good day.